Hello and welcome back. Again, this is your PowerPoint for Chapter 2, and I'm not going to talk a long time, but I did want to walk through some of these slides with you and add a little bit of information. And of course, if you have questions about the chapter, you can talk about those in your discussion post, or you can post them to the general discussion board on the class. So trait and factor theory is one of the oldest career theories that's out there. One of the names that you need to know is Frank Parsons. Way back from like 1909, he initiated the concept of vocational guidance, and that of course morphed into professional counseling over decades and multiple changes. But this is the oldest and one of the most widely used career development theories. It is deceptively simple. And one of the things to keep in mind as you read this chapter and the following chapter, these are kind of static theories. They're not developmental. So we're not really taking a person's age into consideration. However, you can utilize these theories across the lifespan with different age groups by modifying the psychoeducational piece, by modifying the amounts and types of information that you are sharing with your students and clients. It'll look very different to talk about occupations and explore careers and what different jobs do with a kindergartner or first grader than it would with someone who has many years of experience in the workforce. So bear that in mind as we go through this. So there are 3 steps to utilizing the trait and factor theory. They're outlined in your book. The key really is integration in step 3. So step 1, you need to know about yourself, self-exploration, helping the client or student do that. And there's a dialogue, a sample dialogue on page 35 of your textbook demonstrating step 1 of trait and factor theory. The second piece takes some work on the part of you, the counselor, or the college student personnel professional, and that is you need to know about the world of work. And I'm not saying you need to know everything about every position out there, but you need to know how to access current, accurate information. So there are a variety of resources for that. They're listed in your text, and I hope you will take time to Google some of those, explore those websites, and be able then to demonstrate and teach your clients and students how to find that information out for themselves, kind of help them be empowered to do this information gathering piece. Classification systems, this is part of step 2, and this is where I'm saying, go ahead and Google, check these things out. ONET, there's an assignment on that, so I know you'll be familiar with that by the end of the week. Step 3, like I said, is really important, integrating self and work. And that's an awesome little typo. See, I must have really wanted to draw your attention there. So your sample dialogue for step 2 is on page 47 of the text, and a sample dialogue around step 3 is on page 50 of your text. As you're looking at this theory, it's really important that you take the whole person and their context into consideration. So I would encourage you, as you're looking at the self-assessment pieces and you're looking at the occupational information, keep an eye open for bias, for gender bias, for cultural group bias. There's just a lot of bias out there in the world, and as professionals, it's our responsibility to be aware of that and to be able to align with our clients and know where we need to advocate and where certain things may be not as applicable from this theory based on an individual's values. So some perspectives on career development, sociological and economic perspectives. There is good information out there that studies organizations and studies the economy, the labor market, and we're going to look at some of those. Inequities in the labor market, you hear a lot about youth unemployment, and I encourage you to think about that in terms of our local economies, our state economies, and also to look internationally, right? On the news, we're hearing about unemployment in Spain and youth unemployment rates in Greece and other countries. So keep those things in mind and use a large lens when you're looking at this information. And also keep an eye open for where discrimination has occurred in the past, where it is occurring currently, and how that might be addressed not just at an individual or worksite level, but also at a more systemic level as well. These are some of the factors that contribute to inequitable labor markets. You can read that there. One of the things that is not directly related, but kind of related, that I want to share about career counseling in general is we've really shifted over time. And if you were to interview someone who is in their 70s or 60s or 80s, who was out in the world of work, and they would have different kinds of stories to tell than if you interview someone who's currently in their 20s or 30s. So a long time ago, we had this kind of assembly line job market. And, you got a job around here. It might have been with Ford or someplace. And it was very, assembly line kind of work. And you came in and you did the job, and it was about that exciting, in my opinion. And then we moved to a little bit different shift, which was really the career ladder. And there were people who could climb up the career ladder if you just started, at the bottom, paid your dues, did your time, obtained the education and training you needed and the work experience you needed. You were going to move up with this company, and you were going to be able to gain status and a higher salary and different job responsibilities by working your way up the career ladder. For most people, I would say that was especially true for males and white males, but the career ladder existed for other folks as well, just maybe not the same ladder and not at the same level of advancement, okay? And then we've moved now towards and in recent history, towards more of a career lattice as opposed to a ladder, right? So that lattice is that kind of cross work piece you see in gardening, would be one use for it. And so people are kind of zigzagging back and forth, and it's not necessarily an upward trajectory. It's really back and forth, and a lot of career moves where it's along the same level of career, or along the same stratus of position, and a little bit more zigzaggy. You can certainly move up, but there may be times when you're moving sideways or even moving slightly down, depending upon what's going on in the labor market. And then most recently, there's this trend towards people really needing to have a little bit more of an entrepreneurial spirit and doing a lot of contract work. That's pretty common, and that's one of the things that as educators and counselors we need to be aware of and be talking with our students, especially middle school, high school, college students, about how might they be successful navigating that sort of a career path where it's not as clear, and what are some of the benefits of that, and what are some of the challenges inherent in that as well. So that was our little side trip back to the PowerPoint. Again, what are some of the aspects of youth employment? Where do young people get stuck in employment? And what are some of the factors that they're having to struggle and push up against? Sociological perspectives, what are the actual work demands, and then what are the expectations about work and money and life satisfaction, right? What are the advantages of part-time and full-time work? What's most important to the individual? Do they want to know their paycheck is going to be the same every week or every month and they've got benefits? Or do they really want the flexibility to be able to dive into something that's maybe project-based, work a whole lot of hours, and then in between contracts take some time off and do other kinds of things? Whether that's related to family or travel or whatever it might be, whatever their values are, whatever is important to that individual. So just some questions to think about for yourself and for addressing with your students and clients. So the effect of the world of work on the individual, right? The work environment impacts the person. and depending upon how the individual perceives the work environment, right? Perception is reality. In this case, the person's perception of the work environment is going to have a positive or negative or maybe a neutral impact on them. So looking at the work environment and does it fit with this individual. Some people are going to love repetitive work and not having to be able to really think, and some people are going to be bored to tears with that kind of a position. So it's really important that we look at that fit or that match in this theory. Okay, some more little equations, human capital theory. Read this section, think about that for your discussion, and keep in mind, right, excuse me, that there's an assumption being made that there's equal access, and we know that's not true. So what adjustments and accommodations do we need to make to avoid this assumption and not apply this assumption to our clients? Structure of the labor market. Women and discrimination in the workplace. Gender bias exists. Socioeconomic status bias exists. Racial and ethnic cultural biases exist. It's important that we keep these things in mind. There are still segregation, gender segregation in careers. There are still careers that are non-traditional for men and women. You'll find fewer males in nursing, for example, or if you're in the counseling program, you'll see there are fewer males in the counseling profession, and the same goes for females in certain professions and industries. So we need to pay attention to that, and we need to be aware what are some of the concerns, right? If you're working in a high school that's big on a STEM program, or in a college where that's something that you're looking at, what's happening to our women who are in engineering programs, for example, and are they persisting? Are they being successful? What other support might they need? What are they maybe experiencing from their peers that is discouraging and discriminating against them and not helping them move towards success? And not just their peers, but also people who should be mentors to them, whether that's faculty or advisors. And take a look around your campuses and your programs and just see, okay, how many Latina women are there as faculty positions, as administrators, as directors and assistant directors of different units, as academic advisors, right? And do that for a whole host of identities and constellations for individuals. And just see, for some of the students I'm working with, they don't have potential role models or mentors who look like them or come from a similar environment or background that may be able to identify with readily. So those are all things that we need to keep in mind and not assume are in place for those we're working with. Again, there's a lot of information out there about discrimination in the workplace for culturally diverse individuals. There have been some experiments and studies out there when you're looking at basically identical information. Discrimination does occur once that race or ethnicity is made known to the person looking at that. So when your clients come to you and they're sharing their struggles, know that even if that's not your experience, that is their experience, whatever it is they're sharing. I'm not saying everyone's been discriminated against, and certainly not in the same ways, but what is their experience with that? And just because you haven't experienced or haven't witnessed it, really try to take an open posture and a non-defensive stance and explore their experience with them, because if they feel like they've been targeted in their workplace, then they've been targeted in their workplace, and we need to work with what that means for them and how they might, what they need to consider to be able to either adjust to that without it being too detrimental to them on a personal or professional level, and also what might they need to do, or what might we need to do to help change work environments, or help them check out other work environments that might be more supportive, and where they would face, individuals will face less discrimination. So keep those things in mind. Listen to your clients and student stories, and I know I'm repeating myself, but don't dismiss it just because it's not similar to your experience. And I'm not saying that you would do those things, right? We all come from our own perceptions and our own worldviews and our own experiences, and we have bias. I have bias. So it's just bringing your attention to that and being aware of where that exists for you. All right. So that's it for Chapter 2. Enjoy the readings, and check out some of the occupational and labor market information. And there will be more of that in Chapter 3, because Chapter 3 is really kind of a continuation of trait and factor theory.